Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So let me be clear about this. I've not seen a Tom Cruise movie in really quite some time, only because a lot of them to me seemed rather disposable at best. So for example, I haven't really seen the last couple of Mission Impossible movies, although I guess I'm sort of interested, but perhaps at some point. I mean, the only thing I've really seen is his extended cameo in Tropic Thunder. It was the last thing that I'd seen with Tom Cruise. So some of his other films that he has come out with since haven't really motivated me or interested me the same way that some of his earlier stuff did. But perhaps they'll come around. But at any rate, I saw this trailer today for The Mummy, which is yet another remake, reboot, re-everything from back in the day of The Mummy with Boris Karloff, 1932, followed by several sequels and incarnations since. Hammer Horror Films had its way with it. In the 1940s we had other types of mummy films, and of course the Mummy trilogy that we saw by Stephen Sommers, the first two films anyway, directed by Stephen Sommers, with Brendan Fraser, which was more of an Indiana Jones spin than really a full-fledged horror flick like the original. So anyway, I watched this trailer, and let's do a little background here in terms of where this film is coming from. It's written by Christopher McQuarrie, who had previously worked on two fabulous films from back in the day: Public Access, an independent film that he worked with director Bryan Singer on, and also The Usual Suspects, which used to be his best-known film. Now, Christopher McQuarrie had written and directed since then other pictures, but notably Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which is the fifth in the Mission Impossible series, and this was apparently his fourth collaboration with Tom Cruise and second as director. The other film he did with Tom Cruise was Edge of Tomorrow, which he co-wrote, and it was directed by Doug Liman, who did films like Go and The Bourne Identity, that sort of thing. And McQuarrie also directed Jack Reacher, which to me, again, just doesn't seem all that interesting to me. But again, I haven't seen it with Tom Cruise also playing Jack Reacher, based on the novel. So, now, he had also worked on and co-wrote and co-produced Valkyrie. Okay, so this is what we got here. So Christopher McQuarrie has written this Mummy movie. It is directed by Alan Kurtzman, and this guy had done a few things. For one, he had been co-writer of a lot of films, as I see here: Watchmen, Eagle Eye, Star Trek, the 2009 version by J.J. Abrams, Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, Cowboys and Aliens, Ender's Game. As producer, Amazing Spider-Man 2, co-writer and executive producer. His first film as director and co-writer and executive producer was People Like Us, which I have not seen. Anyway, the interesting thing is that he is slated in 2018 to be producer and co-writer of a couple of other Universal horror monster movies that are being brought back. The Invisible Man, Van Helsing. We're getting yet another version of that, I guess maybe more based on the film that we saw in 2003 with Kate Beckinsale, also directed by Stephen Sommers, who coincidentally did the earlier Mummy movies. And so now, do check this out. According to Wikipedia, Universal Pictures, which handled all the Universal monster flicks that at least that I loved from the 1930s, The Mummy, The Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, a lot of these with the iconic Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, etc. They are involved, if I can find it here, and of course I can't. Okay, well, anyway, Universal Pictures has basically gotten involved with, here we go. They have announced that they had tapped Kurtzman, who is the director of the new Mummy film, to develop all of the classic film monsters of that period. Frankenstein's monster, The Invisible Man, The Bride of Frankenstein, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, etc., etc. So The Mummy is the first of these type of pictures. So I watched the trailer, and in the beginning we have a sequence that could have easily been lifted from Mission Impossible. I mean, it has that look of, particularly judging by the last trailer for Rogue Nation, where Tom Cruise is hanging onto this helicopter door or plane or whatever it was, and actually doing it too. He's such a crazy mofo, he has to do these things for real. And it's ready to crash, and there's a sarcophagus in this particular plane, and a woman is in there, and he releases the parachute so she's safe, but he crash lands in the plane along with everybody else, so I guess the assumption is they're all dead. So, that's the end of Tom Cruise. Well, no, not exactly, because then we see all these body bags, and Tom Cruise is almost like resurrected, like he's still alive, not a scratch on him. Anyway, that's how much we see of this in the trailer, which is about the first minute or so of this spectacular plane crash. And you'll catch Courtney B. Vance as one of the other passengers in there, who maybe survives, because I don't know at what point this particular scene happens in the film, obviously. And then you see clips of Sofia Boutella, Boutella, as Princess Amenet, basically the mummy. And Russell Crowe is Dr. Henry Jekyll. That is really all I know thus far. I think that's all anybody really knows about this movie. It's not supposed to come out till June of next year. But watching it, I just thought, this seems disposable at best. It seems mediocre. It just doesn't look very interesting. And I can't imagine anybody watching the trailer and thinking, oh, yes, the mummy. Well, let's see what they come up with this time. It just didn't grab me. It's interesting that last year there was The Last Witch Hunter, which is a movie it was a B movie, but it was sort of fun and had its own peculiar look and so on and so forth, but it stayed true to its story. Now again, I can't judge The Mummy because I haven't seen it, but I can't say I'm interested in seeing it. How many of you out there really want to go see this movie? It just doesn't. It seems like it's very arbitrarily put together, like it could have been anything. Nothing to singularly make an exception of itself as something from the horror film genre, which it doesn't seem to be part of. A mixture of horror, a mixture of a lot of explosions and action. This is not what I think of as The Mummy. It certainly doesn't even have, I guess, the innocence of the Brendan Fraser films. So, you let me know what you think, but I say don't resurrect this mummy. Big mistake, but who knows? Might turn out to be good. And this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off.